Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel where I talk about mental health, mindset, self-care, self-development, and more. In today's video, we're going to talk about how to stop negative thoughts, which could be a lot easier said than done. So we're going to start off by exploring why that is to really understand how negative thoughts work. And we will talk about 4 simple tips that you can use today to stop those negative thoughts in their tracks. Did you know that negative thinking can become a habit? And that's all thanks to neuroplasticity. So that's one of the reasons why it's so hard to stop negative thoughts, because habits are hard to break. Now, neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to rewire and reorganize information by forming new connections and pathways. That could be bad news for us if we are always focusing on the negative, because constant negativity, pessimism, cynicism, or criticizing thoughts change our neural pathways to always focus on the negatives. And this is problematic because negativity affects your quality of life and your happiness. But despite all that, neuroplasticity is actually our friend, and it's crucial for our own survival. Without it, we can never learn new skills or grow as people, and it's actually what allows us to change and adapt based on our life experiences. So us as humans, as a species that's ever evolving and always adapting, neuroplasticity is very, very important to how we live and how we grow. So it's important to understand that our own behavior plays a significant role in how our neuroplasticity changes and develops over time. And it's up to each of us to be responsible for our own neuroplasticity and to make sure we have a positive result rather than a negative one. Because honestly, it could go either way. It could go down the negative route or the positive route. And it's really up to us and how we choose to think and how we're aware of our own thinking that is going to determine whether we're living a positive life or a negative life. So negative thoughts can be kind of sneaky, and we might not always realize when we're thinking them. So it's very important to be aware when we are, so we can put a stop to them right then and there. So take note of these very common negative thoughts and see how many of them apply to you. My friends don't like me, or they don't want to spend time with me. I never have enough time. The world is a scary, horrible, or dangerous place. Everyone is always against me. They'll laugh at me if I go after my dreams. I'm not good enough for this job position. I'm a failure. And to make negative thoughts even worse, our brain searches for confirmation bias to reinforce those negative thoughts. So it literally looks for any type of evidence it can find to support them, even if it's skewed. And this just simply has a lot to do with the fact that naturally the human brain is more inclined to focus on the negatives as a defense mechanism. But luckily, all hope is not lost, and there are things we can do to keep the negative thoughts at bay and focus on the positives. So let's jump into the first tip. This is the STOP method, and it is an acronym for stop or pause, take a breath, observe your body. So observe your thoughts, how you're feeling, and any physical sensations you're experiencing, such as clenched fists, a clenched jaw, accelerated breathing, tension in your shoulders, anything like that. And proceed with awareness. The STOP method is essentially a mindfulness technique, and it is awesome for getting us out of that cycle in our heads of negative thinking and pulls us into the present moment to remember what is going on really right now. Usually our negative thoughts are a result of worrying about something in the future that we might not have control over, or worrying about something that has already happened that we don't have control over either. So we can't go into the future or travel back into the past to control these things the way that we want them to turn out. And that could put us in a loop of negative thinking and feelings of resentment and all those types of things. So the STOP method in mindfulness is going to put the brakes on those negative thoughts that are driving around in your head to focus on what really is the reality, which is this present moment, and remind you that the only thing that you can control is your own behavior in this moment. Tip number 2 is to ask yourself this very simple question. Is this thought helpful? And oftentimes the answer is probably not. You have to stop and ask yourself, is this thought getting me closer to what I want, closer to my goal? Is it encouraging me to be productive, to find a solution? And if the answer is no, then it is not serving you, and it does not deserve any mental space in your head. So if it is really a thought that is holding you back from taking action and finding solutions, it is not serving you at all, and you have to let it go and replace it with a positive one instead. Tip number 3 is to recognize any potential cognitive distortions. Cognitive distortions are primarily negative thought patterns that cause us to come to inaccurate conclusions about reality. Some examples of cognitive distortions are, I'm the unluckiest person in the world. I haven't heard from my girlfriend or boyfriend for hours. They must be cheating on me. They were supposed to be back by now. What if they got into a horrible accident? I didn't get the job. I guess I'm not cut out for this line of work. So there are actually 10 common cognitive distortion thinking patterns, and these are just a few examples from some of them. And I think it's really important to know what they actually are, but for the sake of keeping this video short and sweet, I'm gonna save that for my next week's video, so stay tuned for that if you're interested. It'll be the next video that I post. We're gonna go way more in depth into what these 10 very common cognitive distortion thinking patterns are, so you can be aware if you have them, and then how you can address them. And finally, the fourth tip is to reframe. Cognitive reframing is a technique that allows us to approach a thought, a feeling, or a situation from a positive angle. So one thing you can do is to change your perception of a problem by reframing it as a challenge or as a game rather than just simply a problem. And the way you win that game is to find a solution. So it makes it a little bit more fun. You're just kind of reframing the way that you think about it in your head. And remember what we mentioned in the beginning of the video, that the brain will look for confirmation bias or evidence to support its negative thoughts. Well, something you can do to reframe that is to search for positive confirmation bias. Look for evidence supporting the positives rather than the negatives. So I want to know, do you struggle with negative thoughts? And if you do, which of these tips will you try first? And I just want to remind you that we are all human and we all have negative thoughts from time to time, and it's an ongoing practice keeping them at bay and focusing on the positives. But it does get easier the more consistently you do it. Thank you so much for watching, and I truly hope this was helpful. Don't forget to leave your comment down below, hit the like button, and if you're interested in receiving notifications for whenever I post new videos just like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well. I hope you're having a wonderful day or night wherever you are in the world, and I will see you in next week's video. Bye!